Welcome to fulfilling this belly sting. A show dedicated to aligning a journey to a better mental health using the understandings of the ancient Norse. Join us each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Alaska time. Someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them. Look at that.
Good morning and happy Tears Day to you. Today we talk about the courage of tear, a wonderful role model of just being who we are. We are indeed enough. You are perfect. You have migrated from where you started to where you are today, and you have a wonderful journey in front of you. May not always be the easiest journey, and it certainly won't be a level path of soft sand. For we know the only way that we will truly learn and to trust ourselves is to indeed step off the beaten path and to be who we really are. Today we're going to talk about the courage of tear and using that courage as a role model for us to push aside the egos and the bravado and the overwhelming need of inclusion to indeed be ourselves. Remember, you are indeed a wonderful gift to this reality, whether you currently believe it or not. So, let's get started. But before we do, I want to say a huge shout out to all of you who have liked, followed, subscribed in all the multiple platforms, whether it be the video platforms or the audio. Wherever you have signed up and joined and followed us, we deeply appreciate it. And if you haven't had the chance, now is a great chance to do that. So like, follow, subscribe, hit the notification button so where you can get notified each and every morning when we put out this show. I do also want to give a huge shout out to my friends and family at New Reality TV. newrealitytv.com is a new streaming channel packed with a plethora of perspectives that can hopefully offer you something that resonates, something that delivers to you that piece of intellect that you need to help you move forward and find, obtain, and maintain your mental space. Trust me, you will not regret a moment. So be sure to check them out. For those of you who would like, by all means, please, if you have a few extra coins, drop them in our tip jars. The links are all throughout this morning show and certainly available on our website, where you can also learn out more about me, my message, my teachings, my shows, and if you're interested. There's a link there that you can ask a question for those of you who may be struggling with trying to come to some understanding. In addition, you'll also find at norsewhispers.com /coaching, which offers you a life coaching service in a manner of speaking that helps you, that hopefully will help you obtain or maintain your mental space. So check them all out. norsewhispers.com is where you'll find me. Today our morning chat is available on both TikTok and Facebook. Thank you to both of those platforms for allowing us to communicate, to begin a dialogue about our future trajectories. Today we're talking about tear and courage. But I want to address courage from an intrinsic perspective. Look at it from being ourselves. Many times, most of humans, particularly, although domesticated animals have done a similar path, in that we kind of set aside our own beliefs, desires, and who we are, personalities, in the quest for inclusion into a certain community or a certain societal group. And we cast aside that which we hold valuable. And we just put it aside so that we can wear a mask and be included in whatever group it is. But I'm here to tell you, you truly are enough all by yourself. You truly do possess something that no one else who has ever lived or who will ever live possesses. And that's the essence of you. You are a very unique individual, and you possess a very unique perspective of this thing we call reality. Thinking about our journey from conception to this very moment, or even to where we will, what is our destiny, right? What will we accomplish before we shed this physical form? Looking at that journey, step, we know that the rune era really speaks of a destined interface, in that we are kind of going to interface with certain things throughout our lives, depending on what we take from our last step. So if you think about it, as we're going along our plan, our path, while you may say in yourself, well, that was certainly a misstep. Oh man, I really messed that up. Oh, I really did. No, you didn't. You experienced a certain thing so that you could arrive at a certain place. While many may interpret their actions as missteps or mistakes or failures, whatever, they weren't. They were educational moments. They taught us, whether they taught us emotionally, whether they taught us intellectually, whether they taught us physically, whether they taught us spiritually. They're all connected. And your path is a process, and each step is dependent on the last one. You can't get to this point unless you're at this point first. It's just the way it is. So when we think about our mistakes and the missteps that we've had in the past, now granted, there are certain things that may be issues that we've created in our past against other people's, where we've shattered the harmony, we've broken the faith, we've broken the trust, whatever the case. This does not condemn us for life. They are simply, or as a wonderful friend of mine always uses, it's a life lesson, not a life sentence. So, granted, there are some things that society has dictated that we don't put up with. When we violate someone else's harmony, someone else's peace, someone else's inner sanctity, that violates everything, and there's a lot to pay for that, right? There's societal cost. But if we think about the mistakes in our lives that we've made, whether it be we may have stepped off and into the world of drugs, or the world of alcoholism, or the world of superiority thinking, right? Or whatever, right? Sexuality or gambling, or those things that are probably not the best fitted for us to be successful. And many times people go into this cycle of shame. They're ashamed of what they did. They may feel guilty. They're going to drum up an emotional state based on those missteps. And what many of us fail to remember is that those were lessons that we had to learn to get to where we are today. As a self-reveal, for those of you who have not followed my show for very long or have not read about me, I am a well-recovered now heroin addict. My days of heroin use started when I was a boy. Roughly around the age of 15, 16, I was excused, if you will, from a sentence in jail, prison, to enlist in the military. I did that. I spent 3 years in the military. And in my 3 years in the military, I spent all of that addicted to heroin and cocaine. In 1989, it would all come to a head where I would overdose on heroin in a drain culvert in Tucson, Arizona. From that day of my overdose, which my assumption is based on kind of the rough recollections, happened sometime around September of 1989. I was taken in by a wonderful, the gods blessed me, a pair of individuals who essentially got me clean, eradicated the drugs and the desire to use drugs, the desire to stay on that path. By November of 1989, I then promptly drove about 1,200 miles from Tucson, Arizona to Oak Harbor, Washington, where 7 months later I would meet and marry my shield maiden, whom we have now shared an affair, or a relationship of marriage for 35 years. Matter of fact, 35 years here in just a couple of days. But I don't believe for a moment that I would have ever met my shield maiden had I not gone through this horrible experience I had. Now, the horrible part of the experience, certainly what I've done to my friends and all of those people who were around me at that time, I shattered, I demolished any sense of harmony or peace, comfort. I was certainly probably quite a burden for those who interacted with me. I have since made peace with those individuals, thankfully. And I have come to learn that I needed that darkness to find the brilliance of my shield maiden. That was 1989. We would meet, we would marry, and within a fairly short time, our daughter would be born, our first child. Following that, I would go through a series of finding myself, of understanding who I was. Now, granted, I didn't have the vision I have today, for sure. But what I did have was a desire to keep going. keep trying to figure it out. An inquisitive mind that wanted to know, how could I be successful? How was I going to make this work? So in 1995, my twin sons would be born, and 6 years later, I would become ordained in the Christian church in 2001. Following that, I would have questions about the doctrine. I would just literally just chew the doctrine and the ideology behind Christianity, to where ultimately, about a decade and a half ago now, I would discover a different path. My path that I arrived at, of course, being the quest to know more about my spiritual journey, my spiritual part, the part of me that was going to be eternal. That quest would lead me on discoveries and revelations that I couldn't have imagined only a few short years before that. And I couldn't have gotten to that point had I not traveled the path that I did. I would have probably continued just, taking the steps, doing the thing, staying normal, or what I considered normal, staying in the fold. I wouldn't have had the courage to take that next step, to be able to be who I was, to discover who I was authentically. What was in my authentic space? Who was I at the core? What were my values? And so all of these questions became clearer after I had time to be me, after the time that I would learn that it's all these steps that got me to where I am today. A lot of people have come to me and a plethora of interactivity, and they've said, I'm just not worth it. I've done these things in my past. I have this past of horrible things, and yet no. Yes, they were horrible. Let's not repeat them, for sure. Let's realize what they were. They were lessons, and let's learn from them. Let's actually grow from those moments that we may have had this perception of a mistake. Grow from it, right? The world needs people who are willing to step outside the hurt, to step outside of that path of destruction, and to help, to be there for not only for themselves, but for others. Now, one of the things you may hear quite frequently, and I hear it a lot, and I love it, I honestly do, and that is, love yourself first, then love others. And we say, no, that's wrong, whatever. That is exactly the right answer, right? We have to love ourselves. We have to have love. In the thought process of things, when we talk about how the human form translates the reality around it, one of the things it does is it's going to bring in this energy, right? Because we're going to convert our pictures of reality. We're going to convert that to energy within our mind. We're going to drop that into our heart. Our heart's going to release biochemistry. Biochemistry is going to come up to the brain. And the brain is going to do a comparison. It's going to compare what you just created in your chemical composition, right? What was released from your heart, the hormones, and all the different chemistry within the body. It's going to kind of evaluate that, and it's going to say, okay, here's the construct for that. And throughout my life, I've had all these lessons, all these experiences that have taught me that says, hey, when you have this kind of chemical composition, it typically indicates that we're feeling pretty good. Our life is pretty okay, right? We're all right. Life is good. We can be happy. There it is. Okay, poof. Now I send that energy on with the experience that I'm having into my memories. So I remember that moment as being joyful, as being pleasant, right? And so that's a natural bodily function. It's physiological. You have really, to some extent, you have no choice. when the brain interprets this signal, sets the mood in the energy, in that energy that's now been converted of your experience, and drops that into the heart. The heart, it goes all the way through what my ancestors have called the well of the self. At the bottom of the well of the self are the rocks of your intrinsic values, of your virtues. And this energy passes through those and creates biochemistry. This biochemistry is a physiological thing that you release into your body called hormones and all kinds of other chemistry, mixed with the chemistry that's already there. So we adjust it accordingly, right? So we may just add a little this, little that, little this other thing. Pretty much like you would ingredients into a stew. So we're kind of building our own stew. What's already there, maybe the broth, maybe some of the base ingredients are already in the stew, and we're simply adding to it. Ultimately, when that stew gets back to the brain interprets that. The composition, well, it has this much meat, it has this much broth, it has this much carrots and celery and spices. And it says, okay, this is what my chemical composition is. And throughout my life, I've had experiences and I've witnessed other people whom I may have issued a level of authority to. Parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, peers, all of these people. And I said, okay, well, if I feel, or if I get this chemical composition, it means that I feel this. And that's how I feel. So we're training our brain with our chemical releases. Now, for those of you who think, hey, I don't need that emotional mumbo jumbo, that soft and squishy manure. All right, the only one you're fooling is yourself. Every experience we have in our existence has the emotional data. It creates a level of emotion no different than if we were to meet the one, right? No different. Whether we decide to quash it, believe it, accept it, whatever, is completely on us. But nonetheless, the experience happens. We see that we have an emotional flood of emotional energy that's going to come into the heart. The heart's going to release chemistry back to the brain. This is not something that, to some extent, that we can really control until we get to the next stage, where we can actually decide how we're going to feel. All right, I'm going to take a real quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to tell you how you can be courageous enough to drive your feelings, to control how the emotional effect plays into your interpretation of reality. We'll be right back after this short message.
In the air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
newrealitytv.com.
Thank you for taking that quick break with us. And as always, my friends and family here at New Reality TV, newrealitytv.com, it is totally worth everything you can invest in it in hope to find that peace. So I hope you the best. Today we're talking about the courage to be who we are. The courage to stop masking in this hopeful inclusion into a community that, believe it or not, you are destined to feel your way through. Being the creature that you are, being the biological creation that you are, part of the blessing, the benefit of being human, of being in this physical form, is the ability to create emotion. Remember, spirits can't create new emotions. They can remember old ones. They can remember, how things, and they, most often than not, when we interpret or when we speak about those, the spirits or the deities, with whom you're speaking, they have an idea. They've had similar feelings. They've had similar emotional experiences, potentially in a previous physical life, or in secondhand knowledge that someone's given them. But creating new emotions, creating an emotional response to a societal influence, they can't do. Only us, currently existing in a physical form, can do that. Why? Because we need this biological body to create those hormones. Those hormones are within the heart, and they're part of who you are, DNA, and you create them in response to our interpretation, if you will, of the reality at which we're experiencing. So you essentially see the world, and we'll use visual as one of the sensory inputs, but it happens through all of them, and or our spiritual input as well. But essentially, you're going to take in this snapshot of the reality at which you live. You're going to convert that to energy within the body. So the eye, as an example, takes in this image that it sees, converts it to energy to put it on the optic nerve. The optic nerve then transports that to where it's going to go. There's a couple of things that are going to occur by the time it hits its first stop. The first stop, of course, is your mood, how you see the world. Believe it or not, it has a very big influence. When we're in a good mood, as an example, our brain focuses on the things in that snapshot, in that experience, that are happier, that are more joyful, that are more content, that are more peaceful, harmonious. Those things, beautiful, are highlighted within that image. If we are in a negative mood, as an example, we will pick out more of the negatives. That's the way our brain is trained. So if, as an example, if we were very, very afraid, say we were out in the wild here in Alaska, or down in where my daughter lives, of course, in Australia, things out there you're no longer the top of the food chain. So all of a sudden we have to really be cognizant. So the fear now, remember, uncertainty, fear, is going to drive what we see within each of our interpretations of reality. Our brains are going to queue up on those things that may cause us damage, may hurt us, right? So if we're out walking in the woods and we see a big bunch of bushes moving around, we haven't seen what's in the bushes just yet, but you know what? We better approach, or we better continue with caution. Why? Because it could be a bear or something equally that wants to feed, right? So let's exercise a moment of caution. And we do that for everything. So in much the same way, our brain will pick out those things that are joyful when we're in a good mood. So our key, or one of our focuses for our everyday living should be to find joy, to set our mood as joyful. That way, our brain is automatically picking out that which brings us joy, that which supports that mindset. It's as easy as that. It's being courageous enough to say no to the influences that will try to sway us, that may try to alter our perspectives. We want to push those aside, and we want to focus on that joy, that happiness, that harmonious feelings that will then alter the way we see reality. It's a very critical core, a very critical piece. So big key when we wake up each and every day, I want you to try to just set your mood. Is say, hey, what a beautiful day it's going to be, packed with opportunity, packed with excitement and growth and all the things that we really want. Because it is indeed what we really want. So our focus, our everyday focus should be, first thing when we open our eyes in the morning, is that we're going to set that mood. When we set the mood, we now can see the world that way. So today, as we embrace the courage of Tyr as our role model, I hope that you will take a moment to just set your mood in the morning. Really set it to joy, to finding peace and love and in harmony. I know some of us will say, oh, that's so sissy and so feminine. No, not doing that. Hogwash. Just hogwash. Those who doubt the power of emotion in our everyday experience are those who truly don't live. You exist. You don't live. So embrace the emotion. Embrace all of the joy and the harmony and the love that's out there. And trust me, it'll begin to change you. And when it changes you, remember, you become a beacon for that. So if you're becoming love and peace and joy, that's the energy that you're going to emit. And when you emit that, others will then follow. Others will be affected by that joy, by that peace, by that love. And soon we will have changed the world for the better. So today, a wonderful day of embracing the power of Tyr. I hope that you will join me in finding that way of looking at the world that gives you peace, that gives all those around us peace. All right, my friends, I wish you the very best Tyr's Day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we celebrate the wisdom of Wotan, or Odin. Odin, of course, being the supreme god of the Aesir, brings together this idea that it's out there. Wisdom and experiences that will help us grow as individuals is out there. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And tomorrow night, of course, Sporks Mall, where we will discuss whatever's on your mind. So be sure to check out NorseWhispers.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom, look to the left. You'll see a big orange button. Ask me a question. If I make a show about your question, I'll send you a free shirt. Win-win. So check it out, and we will see you again tomorrow when we will embrace the power of Odin. Love and light, my friends.
I'm watching for Felina's Belly Snake, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska Ulfhafnar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.